Right now, there is someone in your life who smiles at you, but doesn't truly want to see you win. And deep down, you already feel it. It's that strange hesitation in your chest when they talk. That tiny moment where something feels off but you can't explain why. So you ignore it. You tell yourself you're overthinking, that maybe you're being too sensitive. But what if you're not? What if that feeling is actually the most honest signal you have? Because fake people don't always show up as obvious enemies. They show up as friends. And the scariest part is they can stay in your life for years without you ever fully realizing who they really are, until one small moment changes everything. Here's the truth most people don't realize. Fake people are rarely obvious. They're not rude, they're not cold, and they're definitely not easy to spot. In fact, most of them are incredibly kind in the surface. They say the right things, show up when it looks good, and know exactly how to make you feel supported. That's the illusion. Because being nice is often just a strategy. It's not about connection, it's about access. Access to your energy, your attention, your life. And because they don't look like the villains we expect, we let them get closer than they should. That's the twist. The people you trust the most are sometimes the ones performing the hardest. So why do they stay close to you? It's rarely random. Some people are around you because you have something they want: your knowledge, your network, your opportunities. Others stay because of how you make them feel. Being near you might make them feel more important, more stable, or less insecure about their own lives. And then there's comparison, the quiet, invisible competition. They watch you, measure themselves against you, and stay just close enough to keep track of your progress. It's not always malicious, but it's not genuine either. Because real relationships aren't built on what someone can get from you. They're built on who you are, not what you provide. The moment that reveals everything isn't when life is hard. It's when things start going right for you. When you get good news, when you grow, when you begin to move forward, that's when the shift happens. It's subtle at first, a delayed smile, a compliment that feels slightly off, a quick change of subject that pulls attention away from your moment. Nothing obvious enough to call out, but just enough to feel. And that feeling matters, because real people don't have to think about being happy for you, it shows instantly. Fake people, on the other hand, have to perform it, and every performance has a delay. That tiny gap between your success and their reaction, that's where the truth lies. Your brain is constantly picking up signals you don't consciously notice. A half-second pause before someone reacts, a smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes, a compliment that feels slightly off, even if the words sound right. These are not random details. Your mind is trained to detect patterns, inconsistencies, and emotional shifts. But here's the problem. You've been taught to ignore it. You've been told to be kind, to give people the benefit of the doubt, to not judge too quickly. So instead of trusting that quiet inner voice, you silence it. You explain it away. You convince yourself it's nothing. And in doing that, you slowly disconnect from one of the most powerful tools you have, your intuition. That feeling you keep dismissing, it's not weakness, it's awareness. The biggest mistake most people make is not that they don't see the signs, it's that they keep giving chances after they do. You explain yourself, hoping they'll finally understand you. You communicate more, thinking clarity will fix everything. And when something still feels off, you turn inward and question yourself instead. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe it's my fault. So you try harder. You give more. You stay longer than you should. But here's the truth. The more you explain yourself to the wrong people, the more you give them material to misunderstand you, twist your words, or use against you. It's not about communication, it's about who you're communicating with. And not everyone deserves that level of access to you. If there's one principle that will change how you see people forever, it's this. Stop listening to what they say, start watching how they react. Words can be rehearsed, emotions can't. Anyone can say they support you, care about you, or are happy for you. But their reaction, especially in unguarded moments, will always reveal the truth. Pay attention to what happens when something good happens to you. Watch their face before they speak. Notice their energy before they form a sentence. That's where authenticity shows up. This is the foundation of everything that follows. Because once you stop relying on words and start observing behavior, you unlock a completely different level of awareness. And from here, you'll learn a few simple, powerful ways to quietly test who's real and who's just pretending. The simplest and most revealing test is this. Share a small piece of good news and watch what happens. Not something huge, just something light. like I've been feeling really good lately, or something nice happened to me today. Then pay attention, not to what they say, but to their face before they speak. Real people light up instantly. There's no delay, no calculation, their energy shifts toward you, their eyes brighten, and their reaction feels natural. They don't have to think about being happy for you, it just happens. But fake people, there's always a slight pause. A fraction of a second where their face goes still before the smile appears. And when it does, it often comes with something else. That's great, but be careful, or they quickly shift the conversation back to themselves. It's subtle, but powerful, because genuine joy can't be faked in real time. And that tiny delay, that's where the truth slips through. Here's a quiet but powerful move. Step back for a little while. Don't text first. Don't check in. Don't post as much. Just pull your energy back, not out of anger, but out of awareness. Then watch what happens. Who notices your absence? Who reaches out simply to ask if you're okay, with no hidden agenda? Real people feel your absence because they value your presence. They don't need a reason to check on you, they just do. But fake people? They go silent. Days pass, maybe even weeks, and you hear nothing. And when they finally show up, it's not to reconnect, it's because they need something. A favor, attention, or a place to unload their problems. That silence reveals everything. Because your value isn't measured by how much you give, it's revealed by who still shows up when you stop. This one feels almost too simple, but it works every time. Share slightly different, harmless pieces of information with a few people you're unsure about. Nothing serious, just small, casual details. Maybe you tell one person you're thinking about changing something in your life, and tell another a different version of that idea. Then you say nothing else. You go about your life and wait. At some point, that information will come back to you, but through someone who was never supposed to know. And when it does, you'll know exactly where it came from. This isn't about playing games, it's about observing patterns. People who talk behind your back don't think they'll get caught because they assume information moves invisibly. But information always leaves a trail. And when you follow it, the truth becomes clear, without confrontation, without drama, and without you having to accuse anyone at all. One of the clearest ways to understand someone's character is through something very simple. Ask for a small favor. Not a big request, just something easy. Maybe you ask them to remind you of something, read a short paragraph, or help you with a quick task. Then watch what happens. Real people will either follow through or be honest if they can't. They'll say, "I can't right now, but I've got you later," and you can feel the sincerity in it. But fake people often do the opposite. They say yes immediately, with enthusiasm, as if they can't wait to help, and then they don't show up. Excuses come. Delays happen. And eventually, nothing gets done. That small moment tells you everything you need to know. Because trust isn't built on big promises, it's built on small ones being kept. If someone can't show up for something simple, they won't show up when it truly matters. This is the move that changes everything. Stop explaining yourself. No long justifications. No defending every decision. No trying to make everyone understand you. Just stop. Here's why it works. Fake people don't stay in your life because they value you, they stay because they feed off your reactions. Your emotions, your need to be understood, your effort to clarify yourself, that's what keeps them engaged. Every time you explain, you give them more access to your thoughts, more material to question, twist, or use later. But the moment you go quiet, that dynamic breaks. When someone challenges you and you simply say okay, or choose not to respond at all, you take your power back. Silence creates space, and in that space, people reveal who they really are. Some will become frustrated, louder, even dramatic, because they can't control the situation anymore. Others will slowly disappear because there's nothing left for them to gain. And both outcomes are wins. Because silence isn't weakness, it's control. It's choosing where your energy goes, instead of letting others pull it out of you. If you're being honest with yourself, part of you probably knew all along. You felt something wasn't right, but you stayed anyway. Not because you're naive, but because you're kind. You wanted to believe the best in people. You didn't want to lose the connection, the history, or the version of them you hoped was real. And maybe, deep down, you were afraid of what it would mean to let them go, that you'd feel alone, or that you'd have to admit they never cared the way you did. So you gave more. You stayed longer. You kept the door open, even when something inside you was quietly asking you to close it. And that doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. But there comes a point where kindness without awareness turns into self-neglect. And recognizing that moment, that's where everything begins to change. At some point, something shifts inside you. You stop trying to be the nice one at all costs, and you start becoming someone who is both kind and aware. You realize that being a good person doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior. It doesn't mean ignoring your instincts or staying in situations that drain you. Real growth isn't about becoming cold, it's about becoming clear. Clear on who deserves your time, your energy, and your trust. You can still be compassionate, still be generous, still care deeply, but now you also see things for what they are. You stop chasing people who only show up when it benefits them. You stop explaining yourself to those who were never trying to understand you. And in that shift, your circle may get smaller, but it becomes real. Because you're no longer choosing people based on hope, you're choosing them based on truth. So, here's where you start. Don't overthink it. Just pick one simple test from today and try it this week. Share a small piece of good news and watch someone's reaction. Go quiet for a few days and see who actually reaches out. Ask for one small favor and notice who follows through. You don't need confrontation. You don't need drama. The truth will reveal itself quietly, clearly, and faster than you expect. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. If this made you look at people a little differently today, make sure you stick around. Hit subscribe, follow for more, and start protecting your energy like it actually matters, because it does.